Well, I got another good one for you. And when I say good, um, really bad advice. And it's all to the detriment of this poor dog's welfare. So we're back with Beckman's dog training, and he's given me a lot of material to show you guys what is wrong with the way that he is handling things and, charging people thousands of dollars to do this kind of stuff with their dogs. So, trigger warning. You'll know.
We're gonna do a video with Haru. Haru is a board and trained 2.5-year-old mix. Now, Haru is here for jumping, as you just saw. Leash reactivity is the big one. They also want basic obedience, coming, separation anxiety.
If your dog is suffering from separation anxiety, there's a lot of things happening, and you cannot work on separation anxiety by sending the dog off to a board facility, a board and train, where they know no one, they're out of their element, they don't know what's going on. When you're dealing with any type of anxiety and fear, predictability is very important. Routines are important. So when you send your dog off somewhere that they do not know, their routine is going to be all over the place, and they're dealing with somebody that is not being respectful of the emotions and their welfare, we have a serious problem. So you're not only going to have a dog that comes back with worse separation anxiety, but you're going to lose that trust and that secure attachment that your dog had with you. And you're also going to have a lot of other fallout behaviors, such as fear aggression. You might end up with some noise sensitivity or sound sensitivity. A lot of other things can be created by trying to fix these little problems like jumping and coming. And those are things that you don't need to send your dog off for that. Okay, build a relationship and help your dog learn those skills with you being involved.
But what I've noticed the most about Haru is two things. One, her nervousness, which you're gonna hear in a minute. She does like this low whine, especially with me, a guy, the female trainer she's better with. And then the thing that was the most obvious to me was the way she flies out of doors. She doesn't just fly out of doors. It's her job to get out that door.
Okay, so he's established this dog is nervous and anxious. So that's good. At least he has the ability to see that. But here's a couple of my problems. One, he knows that the dog does not do well with him, that the dog does better with a female trainer. Instead of having the female who is recording do the video and he records, he's going to put himself in there to create more anxiety in this dog, even though he has already admitted that the dog is more anxious with him. Second, when he talks about the dog's job to get out the door, the dog is trying to escape. So when we talk about fight, flight, freeze, the dog is trying to flight. Now, if we don't allow the flight, we're going to end up with fight or freeze. So when you see a dog trying to escape things of that nature, especially when you're already seeing the nervousness of the dog walking around, the head is lower than the spinal column, the ears are back, the dog is giving calming signals such as yawning, quick licks, curves, is trying to avoid him at all cost. So when a door is open, flight is going to be the common thing you're going to see. So again, right here, he's already kind of seeing that he thinks that the dog bolting through doors is bad behavior based on obedience, when in fact the dog is trying to use natural fight, flight, or freeze instincts.
Okay, I'm gonna hopefully work with the nervousness for a minute. Haru. So I'm not gonna do a whole video on nervousness, because nervousness, I've done them, I do them. I did one yesterday, I think. But it's boring, right?
So he's absolutely correct. Watching us work with dogs that are nervous and anxious and fearful is quite boring, because we're not going to be confrontational and because we're not working with dogs just to get video content. We're not putting dogs in those situations just so we can put stuff on social media. So yeah, it is boring, because we actually care about the welfare of the dog and building that relationship, not just trying to bully my way into making the dog submit to me.
Right? It's me sitting here feeding treats to a dog that is nervous, right? I mean, we need to do it, and I do it, but...
Number one thing that we do when we're dealing with a fearful or anxious dog, if they're fearful of us, the very first thing that we're going to do is absolutely not try to entice the dog to approach us. When we are using food to get a dog to approach us where they're going to be afraid, we're now using food as an aversive. And this is where a lot of people get very confused. He's using food to lure that dog to come closer to him, which she's afraid of. She's afraid of him. So he's trying to lure her into coming into his environment using treats. Now, her desire to eat the treats in this moment right now overrides the fear, but the fear is still there. And so we want to make sure that anytime we're dealing with anxious and fearful dogs, we like to do where we're tossing treats behind the dog, because we want to teach the dog that you can actually move away from us using your flight instinct. Okay, many dogs feel like they cannot escape because we've not allowed them to, whether it's been on a leash, whether it's been in a room. But if we allow that escape, many times they will use it. But when we're asking them to come into our space, which they're afraid of, we're actually increasing their fear. And then them eating the treat is just giving you false sense of their comfort because the dog is not comfortable. So take this as an example, right? If you didn't like clowns and a clown was sitting there holding out $100 bill and said, "Here, just come get this $100 bill," and I'm holding it out here, you're probably going to go get that $100 bill. It does not make you less afraid of the clown. Okay, not when you have a real fear, which this dog does. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not forcing dogs into situations that they're afraid of. That is not going to fix the fear. It's going to make things much worse. And it's going to make the dog feel like that what they have been doing, trying to flight, doesn't work. Therefore, we're taking away that, which is going to leave nothing but fight or freeze. And many times you're going to get fight out of that.
But this is the best thing you can do. Desensitization, you just being around the dog and being nice to the dog. I sometimes go to people's homes and the wife's like, "Oh, the dog, new rescue's scared of my husband." And I'm like, "Oh, I wonder why." And then I hear the husband come down the stairs, stomping down the stairs because he's 300 pounds. And I'm like, okay, that's part of the deal, right? You've just got to be calm and slow and stuff like that. And the dog desensitized to you.
Okay, so again, here we are. We have this dog with anxiety and fear. This dog is fearful of him. This dog is just fearful in general. You cannot desensitize a dog to not feeling fearful, not in the way he's doing it. He's thinking that, hey, I'm just going to be around here, you'll get used to me. When in actuality, that is not how the brain functions. And you can see that he loves to insult. I mean, the 300-pound man thing, that I don't even know what the point is. That desensitizing to, say, the sounds of the house is one thing. Yes, the dog has to get used to the new sounds of the home. But when it comes to fear, he is not going to desensitize the dog by sitting there and giving food, because he is putting the dog in a situation that's fearful. So as the dog is standing there, the chemicals are releasing, screaming fear, 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 fear. But then the dog's like, eat, 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 because, I don't know, this dog may not have had any food today, or maybe the dog is just really hungry, whatever the case may be. But you cannot desensitize a dog when they're dealing with fear. So again, here we go. We see this. He doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to this fear and anxiety. He's not understanding the brain aspect. All he is looking at is, I'm going to fix this external behavior so I can look good. When in actuality, he is really causing some serious issues, which you're going to see.
Nice to you. Okay. Force her to come closer to me.
What do you call someone who forces someone to do something that they do not want to do when they're extremely fearful? And he just saw the behavior of this dog being afraid. He's being a bully. And he's basically saying, I don't care how you feel. This is what I want you to do, and you're going to do it, and you're going to do it right now. That is bully behavior. And it is not appropriate. And he is doing this and charging people thousands of dollars to do this to their dog. This dog is not going to be better when it goes home. It's going to be worse. And this right here just goes to show you his lack of understanding about dog behavior, dog development, brain development, fear, anxiety, trauma. He is disrespecting everything about this dog. and forcing this dog into situations it's not prepared for.
Okay, so I'm not going to do a whole video on this. Getting treats is good. Treat on my knee without a lot of movements. Look me in the eye. And just like that little move there where she gets all scared, she's just got to get over it. Like I've just got.
So here he is again, forcing the dog, not really force, I won't say forcing, but using the treats is an aversive in this situation because it's overriding that fear in a negative way. And the dog is like, hey, that food is survival, so I need that food. And so the dog is going up and he's forcing him in this area. And then he, again, watches the dog back up and is afraid. And the dog does a calming bow. And also making him look in the eye. Looking in the eye is actually confrontational for many dogs. So when you're forcing the dog to look you in the eye, you're forcing that confrontation. So again, this dog is not just going to get over it. You don't get over a fear or an anxiety. You don't just say, hey, I'm going to get over. I know I'm in the middle of a panic attack. I'll just get over it. This is the most ridiculous bullshit that I have. It's just mind-blowing to me that this guy is actually doing this as a job. So be sure that you understand. You cannot desensitize fear, anxiety, without looking at the deeper issue of what's going on with trauma and dealing with the dog's trauma. And you don't just get over it to help you do your video.
Like I've just got to keep moving. She's got to keep flinching. And then eventually she doesn't flinch. And there was a little growl there. Did you hear that? It's like a little nervous growl. You're fine. You're fine. Chill out. Like tone can be important. Like relax. Relax. Sit. All right. So that I hadn't heard. So I got low, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm staring at her. And instead of backing away, she decides to just stare at me and growl. That isn't okay.
So the growl that you're hearing is what we call a level 2 calming signal. It's a dog's way of expressing their emotions, that they're afraid, they're fearful, that they are trying to be non-confrontational and they're trying to calm whatever that conflict may be, which is him. And so basically what he's doing now is staring the dog down, being confrontational. He's bribed the dog to come into this fearful situation, which is going to increase the fear. He's using treats to increase that fear to get the dog to come close. And then he sits down with treats in his hand and stares at the dog and then pissed because the dog doesn't run away because he was feeding him earlier to make him come close. But now he's saying that the dog should have run away because the dog should have known better. So he's giving very conflicting information that he's not even sure what he's talking about. But now he's pissed because the dog is expressing the fear and anxiety that he's feeling. So he's not caring about the welfare of the dog. It's all about him. And it's not appropriate for anybody to tell him that they're fearful because that's just not going to happen. So again, this is where the trigger warning starts. This is not very good for this dog.
Okay, so things are shifting a little bit. Is the dog nervous? Yes, the dog's nervous. But what I'd heard before is like a low pitch walk away and do like a whine. That was a growl for zero reason.
The fact that he said that was a growl for zero reason tells me, again, everything I need to know about his lack of education and his lack of knowledge. The dog's growling because it's fearful. The dog has tried to flight. The dog has tried to get away from him, but he's done nothing but made the dog come into his space. The dog can't flee, one, because he's trapped in this room, and two, again, using the conflicting use of treats in that moment, again, is aversive. It's bad for the dog. So for him to say the dog had no right to growl, and he did it for no reason, again, is completely false. The dog was expressing that emotion and saying, I'm not comfortable, and I'm trying to tell you that in the least amount of ritualized aggression that I can. There are 3 levels to calming signals: passive, less passive, and ritualized aggression. The ritualized aggression gets into the snap, the bite, the muzzle grab. And we have a great course on that. And maybe this guy needs to take it. Maybe to understand truly, if you don't know how dogs communicate, you should not be working with them. And so it's really important that we understand our dog's communication so that we can be respectful and understanding what those feelings are and how we can respond appropriately to build that trust and help them overcome the issues that they're facing.
For nice guy who's been only nice to her, feeding her treats, she thinks it's okay to 8 inches away from my face growl at me. It's not okay. Does that mean we're going to punish her for it? No, but it means things change a little.
I've had to record this clip a couple of times because the anger is coming through. So he's encouraged the dog to come into his face, and then he's pissed because he was being confrontational, and the dog was giving natural dog communication skills to say, I'm uncomfortable. And so now he's trying to claim he's a nice guy, but you're not being a nice guy. Giving the dog treats to force him into a situation that is not comfortable is not being nice. In the dog's mind, that's not being nice. In the dog's mind, if you're actually caring about what the dog thinks, the dog sees you as being confrontational and is trying to communicate that to you. And so now that the dog is given the natural communication, it's pissed him off. It's pissed him off because he doesn't think that he deserves that disrespect. When in actuality, the dog was just communicating the emotions and trying to avoid any type of true conflict that could arise in this situation.
A little bit. That had not seen. I'm glad all that happened on video, and I hope you heard it. She was about right here. It was a low growl, but I hope you heard it in the microphone. But we're a little over the, oh my God, we're going to be so soft with you because you're a scared dog and I'm going to feed you. No, 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 no. You have the cojones to just growl at somebody that's done nothing to you. I'm not going to be mean to her, but I am a little bit over.
So again, the real issue here is he doesn't understand dog communication. And in his mind, it's all about him. How dare you growl at me for no reason when I'm just being a nice guy? Now, I'm not going to be mean to you, but I can't believe you had the balls to do that to me, the professional. And then he goes on to say he's not going to be mean to the dog, but as you watch these videos, you're going to see very much so how mean he's being and how disrespectful he is being about this dog. It's literally like taking a toddler and not caring how afraid they are and putting them in the arms of, say, Santa Claus or a clown, or forcing them into a situation that's fearful just so you can get that picture.
There's that. Sit. She's not going near Carly. Sit. Good girl. Stay.
So here you see the dog is trying to fight, flight, freeze because he's chasing the dog around in a very dominating, just forceful bully way. He's like, you're going to come here and I'm going to put this leash on you. And the dog is trying to get away. He's trying to fight, flight, or freeze. He just bitched a couple of videos ago because the dog didn't move away. And now he's pissed because the dog is trying to move away. So yeah, he's being very, very bully here. And I am actually very surprised that this dog did not escalate to level 3. I will have to hand it to this dog because a snap or a bite would have been appropriate in this moment because he is being a bully. And all the dog knows is I have to avoid conflict and confrontation because that's how I survive.
Stay. You're okay. Everything's okay. We're just going to put a leash on. Good. Good. It's that middle of the road. But I'm not going to be quite as soft as I started this video out with because it's not all just fear. It's just not. It's just not. Dog sat a foot from me, stared at me in the eyes and growled. She had 30 feet to leave. So
I feel I don't even need to respond to this because I'm pretty sure that most of my listeners, watchers, followers know how bad that was. So again, you can see he's like, I'm not going to be soft. I'm going to be hard because it was not just fear. It was all fear and it's all trauma. And he's only doing, he's only making things worse because now he's gone from I'm being soft, I'm being hard, and I'm being soft. If you've ever been in an abusive relationship, this is what it's like. You don't know which version you're going to get. Therefore, you're going to constantly walk on eggshells. And for him to be doing this towards an animal who has no choice. That dog doesn't have a choice to go get in the car and leave. Doesn't have a choice to call somebody up to come pick them up and keep them safe. This dog has been forced into the situation, and even though it's tried to fight, flight, freeze, he is giving mixed signals, mixed communication, and this dog doesn't know what else to do in this situation. And so now he's got the dog on a leash, forcing it again to be with him. And every time the dog is trying to move away, if you go back and just watch that, he's on that hand, he's just popping that leash a little bit, keeping that dog close, because he's forcing the dog again into something. At this point, this is about him. This is not about training the dog. It's about him. And this is why a lot of these trainers have to use aversive techniques and use things like e-collars, because they can't send this dog home like this, because they're not going to fix this dog. All they're going to do is suppress the behavior so the dog looks like it's being compliant. And that's what we call full compliance. It's a fake compliance in order to survive. Just like you see a lot of people in abusive relationships where they stay and they just comply, because for them, that's the only way they feel like they can actually survive. It's a very sad place to be.
Have I been mean to her since she growled? No, I'm not going to correct it. But things changed. We saw a window into her mind a little bit. That it's not just this, oh my God, I'm so scared of this guy. There's a little bit of fear and a little bit of jerkiness. Like she thinks she can just growl at people. I was low. I was like lower than her head. Like she was up here kind of, and I was here, and she's like, oh, okay, I can just growl at this dude.
So if we actually saw inside of her head, we would know that the dog was full of trauma. And the cortisol and adrenaline that's running through this dog's body right now is very bad, which causes a tremendous stress on the rest of the system. So again, he's like, I'm not going to be mean to this dog, when he is being mean, because he's forcing himself on this dog, and he thinks he's doing it in the name of training, and in actuality, he's doing it in the name of his own ego. And so, yeah, this dog was not growling out of anything other than fear, using natural dog communication that anybody in this profession should know.
Okay, but my technique with her is changing a little bit because of that. There's a girl right there. Okay, you're okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. You're all right. That's even a different growl though. That was a more nervous growl. Okay, so I got a lot of work to do with this dog. Okay, I got to good girl. I got to desensitize to her. I've got to give her treats. I've got to leash walk her. Got to do a lot of stuff.
So you can see that because he took away the flight, the dog is having no choice now to start doing a little bit more fight. And you'll start to see a little freeze. But that's where you're getting some more of those growls. The dog is trying to say, dude, really? And then he's like forcing himself in front and being kind of exerting himself into it. The thing is dogs read body language. He doesn't know your little soft, oh, it's all okay. He doesn't know what that means. All he knows is by your body language, you are being very, very aggressive. So this dog is doing exactly what it should do to survive. And if it had the opportunity with those doors open, I guarantee this dog would be gone. And this guy would never see this dog again, because there is no trust here. This dog knows absolutely that this guy can do one thing 1 second and then switch to another. And for anybody that suffers from trauma, you know how detrimental that is to your overall health and your well-being. All right, so then he talks about he has a lot to do with this dog, that he has to desensitize himself to the dog. Again, I've already covered that. You're not going to desensitize your dog. You can't put your dog in a fearful situation. And what is happening right now is what we call flooding. He is flooding the dog's system. And he's basically saying, I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to stay in your area, and I'm going to make you so fearful, and I'm going to stay here until you shut down. And that's called learned helplessness. So when you see the dog just stop trying to get away, it's not that the dog is like, okay, it's all better now. No, the dog is now in the freeze mode and is shutting down, because it's learned that no matter what it's done, it's tried to walk away, he has trapped him. It's, tried to get out of the room. He's like, absolutely not. And so this dog is not left with a whole lot. So eventually this dog will shut down. And so he can treat the dog all he wants. That's not going to fix it either. Walking the dog is not going to fix it. This dog needs some serious help internally, gut health. We need to help the dog complete the stress cycle. We need to help the dog start some decompression so that we can help the cortisol levels and adrenaline levels get back to normal. We need to help this dog's default mode network to kick back in. And that's where that brain's baseline is. It's where we all just kind of hang out until stimulation happens. This poor dog stays so high that it doesn't take a lot of stimulation to help to make this dog kind of boil over, so to speak. So you can kind of think of it as a cup, right? So with the cup, so right now this is how much stimulation I've had today. Now a lot of the cups will have small holes in the bottom. And think of this as the brain. Okay? Brain, ability to function, ability to life. We'll say that. Okay? So sometimes these holes are real small. For puppies, they're real small because they haven't been here very long. As you get older and get more experienced, your holes will get a little bit bigger. So that means that it drains. So stimulation that goes in can drain out and not overfill your cup. But if a dog comes in running high because it's always anxious and now it's in an environment that it's not familiar with, it's already here. So when he starts to force the dog to come in and take treats and he's putting them in a situation that's over threshold, it starts to fill up. And then once it gets there, now we're having our level 2s and 3s. And you might get some level 1s, which are your head turns, quick licks, paw raises, yawning. You saw a bow there. The dog did do some good level 1s, but at some point, the dog can't take anymore, right? And then if it's just flooding over and you keep putting stimulation in, then this dog's just going to shut down and say, doesn't matter what I do, it's going to flood anyway. The cup is running over. I can't do anything else. So again, this is a really bad scenario for this dog.
Come on. Now I'm going to... But see, like a super soft dog, I wouldn't have her on a leash. The first thing I did after that growl was say, I'm not going to let you avoid me anymore.
So here we are right back with the ego. You're not going to avoid me anymore because this is about me and I have a video to make. We never, ever force dogs to see us, interact with us. We never put pressure on dogs. We positive trainers, yeah, we're not going to do that because we actually care about the dog. This situation, this dog is not prepared for this. There is nothing I can tell you to improve on the techniques he's doing here. This dog should never be in this situation. He should have never put this dog in this situation because the dog is, again, getting to the point where it's shutting down. And so this whole time what's happening is now he's like, now you can't avoid me. The dog is, again, getting into that learned helplessness that no matter what you do, shut down. And this is where a lot of aversive trainers will try to show people that look how good this dog is. And we watched it on the Dog Whisperer for years. This guy is just as bad as Caesar. Caesar got bit and went, I didn't see that coming, when everybody and their mama could see the communication skills the dog was given. Just goes to show you they don't care what the dog feels. They don't care how the dog communicates. All they care about is showing people how good they are and what they can make dogs do through suppression. And suppression is not relationship. Suppression is not obedience. Suppression is not helping a dog learn how to live in this environment. Suppression is abuse. Bottom line.
She can avoid when she's just scared. She can avoid, we'll give treats. Then she came up and said, what's up? Growl. Okay, we're done. We're done with avoiding. Good. Stay. Okay. Sit. Okay. Okay. Now, what I really wanted to show you guys was the door stuff. I didn't anticipate that growl. Okay, is the door stuff. She's a flighty dog. Like she hits the end of the leash a lot. So I'm moving slow. I'm not talking loud. Good. Sit. Good girl. Stay. Okay.
I'm sorry I'm asking you guys to watch this. I know how painful it is. So he's sit. Stay. I'm going to throw this door open. And then he tells the dog, okay, you could go through, but then he yanks the dog with the leash. And the dog's like, well, you just said I could go. I mean, what kind of trauma are we creating here? I don't understand the concept of this. It's so, I don't even know if I could say it's old school. I don't even think old school would be this bad. He is not giving any type of clear communication to this dog. And he is so back and forth with, I'm not talking loud, but yet he goes, sit. So I'm not really sure what he sees as loud or not. But again, it doesn't matter because he could care less what the dog feels. And it's all about how he feels and what he's doing.
You're okay. You're okay. Stay. Okay. I didn't take it off. That's my fake leash takeoff method. It's the greatest thing ever.
So again, he is confusing the dog. He's like, ha ha, got you. Told you. Okay. Oh, nope, still on it. I don't understand why he believes this abuse is what's going to help this dog. He is making the trauma worse. And I really wish that the owners of this dog could see this and see what he has done. And I hope would get their money back. But this is something that we don't play around with dogs. We're not trying to trick dogs. We're not trying to make things harder on them than it already is. This world is not set up for them as it is. And here we are watching these people make things so much worse in the name of training and obedience. And we've got to stop. But it starts with you guys watching this. Right? It starts with you not falling for this shit. It starts with you by calling them out. It starts with you by letting other people know that there are better ways to do things, and not just better ways, but the right way, the nice way, the healthy way, the humane way. This is not humane. And I'm sure you're asking, well, how's it not humane? He's not using a prong collar. He's not using a shock collar. He's not physically hitting the dog or kicking the dog. But everything he's doing is emotional and mental because that's how the dog is going to see it. And that emotional abuse is going to make the trauma 10 times worse.
I've said it in a couple videos, but I should make a whole video on it. Where are you going? Stay. Stay. She can't just lean away.
So once again, he is forcing himself up on the dog. He is getting into the dog's space. And when the dog is trying to lean away, trying to do a little bit of a flight, trying to lean away, use some calming signals, use the body turn, he's yanking the dog back. He's pulling the dog back. She can't lead away. Can't lead away. Again, he's being very disrespectful to the dog's feelings and what the dog is trying to communicate to him. And this is how dogs end up into a level 3 bite. And this is how dogs end up biting. If he got bit, I would not be surprised. But you know who's going to get blamed? The dog would get blamed. And it's his fault that this dog would do that. And so again, what you're seeing here is you're seeing a bully behavior of forcing this dog into a situation it's not prepared for. But again, not caring about how the dog feels.
That's the video. You heard the growl. You saw some nuance in how I dealt with a growl that wasn't that bad, but was not just fear. She was off leash.
I'm glad that this video is over, but the one I'm going to do next to his is even more disgusting. With this, yes, the dog was off leash, but he wasn't allowing the dog to flight because he kept bribing the dog to come close. And so again, he's trying to assume the dog is going to do things naturally, like get away from something that's fearful, if the dog was actually fearful. But in reality, he doesn't understand how brains work, how trauma works. He doesn't understand dog communication. He doesn't understand the interaction. All he is looking at is, I'm going to get this behavior because I'm charging these people for it, and I'm going to do it no matter what happens. No matter what this dog feels like, I'm going to get this done. This dog did not have a very good life. I don't know about this dog. I wish I could find its owners and offer them a free Zoom to change everything that he did, because I can only imagine the type of trauma that this dog feels. If you've enjoyed this, please share it with everyone you know. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on our podcast, Dog Speak, Redefining Dog Training. You can find it anywhere you stream. Get on our Patreon account. We have a couple of more of these on our Patreon account. We'll be putting more of those on our Patreon account. Not all of these I'm going to be putting on public. So some of those will be on our Patreon account only. And if you have a video that you would like me to do a response to, and it could be from a positive trainer, let me know. I'll go check it out. And if it's enough content, I'll be happy to do a response video on it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And go do something fun for yourself and go love on your dog.